Okay, this is a profile on George Groves, who is currently the Commonwealth and British Super Middleweight Champion. So that he's got 13 fights, 13 wins, 10 coming by knockout. And in terms of what he does, he's a quality fighter. He can mix it up, he's quite versatile. He can box and he can bang. Looking at some facts about George Groves, we know that he was a super middleweight, or well, a middleweight amateur. He won the ABA championships in 2006 and 2007 and beat James DeGale in the amateurs, but James DeGale then went off to the Olympic Games. Right now George Groves is training with Adam Booth from Haymaker, and I think that's probably the best decision really for him. They work with him pretty well, they've got a good understanding, and pretty much Booth looks after his fighters quite a lot more than a lot of other people do really. In terms of what George Groves does well is it's very versatile. Like I've said, he can box, he can box your brains out, but he can also punch as well, and it shows by his knockout percentage. He can get the stoppages and he can knock them down. He can also, if he has to, like shown in the James DeGale fight, he can just box around you. I've got to point out, I really do like George Groves, and I like him because he's representative of this new breed of British boxers coming through. These are not people who are spoon-fed their way up. These are people who are tried and tested young. They're given, like, let's say 10 fights where they spoon-feed them some opposition to give them like a fighting chance, and then they throw them in the deep end against someone half decent. In this case it was George Groves versus James DeGale, and luckily, when I say luckily, he deserved it really. George Groves came out on top. I've been thinking what are his best attributes, and to be honest I can't see anything that he's absolutely excellent at. He's just very well rounded and versatile. However, what I probably would say is he's extremely heavy handed, and he doesn't get enough credit for that. The main question is, how far do I think he'll go? I think it really depends on how he's matched. He's just recently signed with Frank Warren, and I really don't think Frank Warren has got his best interests at heart. I think Frank Warren's all in it for the money on this one. For example, what I think's going to happen is they're going to spoon-feed him for another two years maybe. I think Frank Warren's going to do that. He's going to build him up till he gets a mandatory shot at a world title, probably when Mikhail Kessler retires, because he's going to beat his opponent, by the way. I think Mikhail Kessler retires and then that belt will be up for grabs, and they'll have George Groves versus James DeGale for the world title. And at that point I think Frank Warren will just drop the loser of that fight after that. To conclude, I'll probably say George Groves does go to challenge for a world title. I think he may win a world title. I don't think he'll be a multi-weight world champion. He'll be a good super middleweight world champion possibly. The thing is, the only downside to this is, right now he's challenging, let's say, for the titles in a division where this is the strongest, I would say, the super middleweight division's ever been. So future matches, that'll be great for George Groves. I don't want to see him fight DeGale again, not yet anyway. Leave that one for a bit. I wouldn't like to see him face Andre Ward. I don't think he'll beat Andre Ward, and I would hope he'd never fight Andre Dirrell, because let's be honest, no one likes Andre Dirrell. Carl Froch would be a glorious scrap with him, and even Mikhail Kessler would be a good fight for him. If he can fight those type of people, that'll be incredible. I'll probably also try and keep away from Bute. So yeah, thanks for listening. Tell me what you think about George Groves. Tell me how far you think he'll go. I mean, do you even think he's the best super middleweight in the UK?